Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to All Things Superman, where we simply talk about everything related to Superman, from comics to TV shows to movies and much, much more. So, we are now about 3 weeks out from the release of Justice League on November 17th, or technically November 16th on Thursday. And Warner Brothers in DC is now ramping up their marketing campaigns. Everything is looking good. We've had a few developments, important developments, in terms of the things that's gone on over the past week. We've gotten some new TV spots. We got a new poster, a few new posters. And we got this whole controversy thing about this embargo going on. So we're going to deal with all of those things in this video today. So first things first, let's deal with this embargo issue. Now, if you don't know, I'm sure you may have heard by now, but if you haven't heard, what happened is that one of the Twitter users that works for, I forget what the company's name is, but he's a movie critic. He basically tweeted a screenshot of what Warner Brothers sent him in terms of the embargo for the movie when critics get a chance to see the movie. And what that embargo said is that the embargo won't be lifted until November 15th, which is the Wednesday, the day before Justice League comes out. And this has a lot of people worried. It has a lot of people thinking like, oh my God, is Warner Brothers and DC trying to avoid, the critics because they think this movie is going to be horrible and they think this movie is going to be bad, because that's generally the case. What happens is when a studio is not necessarily confident in their movie, especially with these, comic book films and superhero movies, when they're not comfortable with their film, they'll, push that embargo way up until that movie comes out so that they can kind of control the critics, that's going to give it negative reviews. So it doesn't, impede on the public too much on their opinion of the movie, and they'll still make money off the movie. So again, this has a lot of people worried. Is Warner Brothers and DC trying to hide this movie because they think it's going to be a bad movie? Now, here are my thoughts about that. I honestly don't think that's the case with this. I'm sure you've heard a few opinions about this online already, and there are some good, I guess, some judgments on both sides of the argument. However, my particular thought is that I think what Warner Brothers is doing more so is that they're just being careful. They got burned really, really bad by Batman versus Superman. That was really a big tentpole film for, DC and Warner Brothers. And they got burned really, really bad by, critic reviews. And I think that Warner Brothers is starting to realize, and, maybe some other companies too. I think Warner Brothers and DC and a lot of other companies are starting to realize that I think they know that there's this, I've been saying it for a while, there's this sort of critic problem. And I really want to be careful with talking about this. I don't want to say that, or I don't want to imply that, all critics are bad and, Rotten Tomatoes is, just a, terrible site of people who contribute and all of that kind of stuff. I don't necessarily want to apply that. However, I have said before in prior videos that I think this movie critic pundit era that we live in now, where everybody has free access to, YouTube channels, and they basically can get on, their platforms and, say whatever they want to say. I think that has become a bigger problem than a lot of us are willing to recognize. Now, when I say problem, I don't necessarily mean, again, that there are, always bad people, doing bad things. I just think that, like with anything else, you're going to get, something that comes with two sides of a coin. And, the good side of the coin is that we get movie reviews, we get people's opinions about movies that we haven't seen yet. We get to, relate with those people. We get to see their views. We talk with them in the comment sections. They see our views, so forth and so on, and we can relate on a particular thing that we like, all love, which is movies. That's one side of the coin. But the other side of the coin comes with things like, people just unnecessarily bashing a movie, or even unnecessarily talking really, really good about a movie. It just tends to always, be more so on the bad side. So that's the part I'm talking about most here today. So, again, this other side of this coin where pundits and critics are, they can bash a movie, and a lot of these people have large platforms. Some pundits and critics online have, in the tens of thousands of, YouTube subscribers and, blog subscribers and things like that, where, their opinion can skew a big amount of the public's opinion if it's spread, you know. And then a lot of these people do stuff in terms of, I said this before, we live in the era of clicks, likes, and subscribes. There's a lot of clickbait. It's called clickbait. You put these sensational titles up, you say something really, outlandish, just to get people to click on your content, on your videos, on your blog and stuff like that, and get people to talking about it. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. That's just what happens. So I think, again, that Warner Brothers and DC realizes this issue and realizes that this can be an issue. And I think that they come out and say at the beginning, hey, we're not going to lift this embargo until, a day before the movie comes out, so that they know, or at least they have some level of control over that bad side of the coin, if that makes sense. And, there's some opinions online about maybe they probably will release the embargo, as it gets closer to the movie, they'll probably move the embargo back maybe like a week or so before the movie. It's the same thing they did with Wonder Woman. That's what a lot of people are saying, that, basically Wonder Woman initially had an embargo, with the embargo being the day before the movie came out, and then, they end up moving the embargo back. So a lot of people are suspecting that's the same thing that's going to happen with Justice League. But I think at this point, I don't think it's anything to worry about. We'll see as we get closer to that movie. And even if they don't lift the embargo, I'm going to go into it with an open mind. I still don't think that it may necessarily be an issue. I just think that they probably, again, are being careful about how they're releasing their content. They're ramping up this marketing campaign, and this is a big tentpole film, again, for Warner Brothers and DC. So, again, I don't think that's going to be a problem. So now that we have all of that sort of potentially negative stuff out of the way about, Justice League, let's get into some more positive stuff. And one of the things that's really, really positive is the new poster that came out of Justice League. And listen, guys, I absolutely love this poster. Of course, to me, the number one thing that sticks out is this silhouette in the middle of the picture. The silhouette of Superman. Like, at first, I didn't even see this. Somebody actually had to point it out to me, because I was actually focused. The poster is so good, I was focused on a lot of the other characters in the poster. And I didn't even see the Superman thing in there. I just thought it was like a white background that, those letters were written on. You can't save the world alone. I thought that's what it was. But this poster, guys, is absolutely amazing to me. This watercolor type thing, with Wonder Woman kind of being in the foreground. You see her face, top right, and it's kind of the larger face. Same thing with Aquaman, top left. And I'm saying all of this because they do these posters really strategic. Or at least I think they do. They do the posters really strategic because they want to, sell you a particular thing. It's marketing 101. It's why, Doritos, for example, spends, tens of $millions to, put a 30-second ad during the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So there's a method to this madness. But again, this poster with Wonder Woman, basically being, that bigger, larger face that we see sticking out. Aquaman's face is, again, top left, and it's slightly behind hers in terms of, foreground and background. And, the other surprising part about it is Batman seems to be, smaller. On the bottom right, he doesn't seem to be, in terms of the poster anyway, and I don't know what kind of impact this is going to have on the movie, but again, in terms of the poster, Batman is bottom right, and he seems to be, not a larger part of that picture. Flash, I love that part where I see his finger sticking back basically at the Superman S, the Superman symbol, the symbol of hope. That's really cool to me. And Cyborg looks pretty badass too. It looks like he's going to have a significant role in this film. A lot of people are are saying that he and Flash are going to have this really cool relationship, and then Cyborg may show up in the upcoming Flash movie. Also, we don't even know if Cyborg is supposed to get a movie of his own, so we don't know what's coming with that. But again, this poster is it's amazing. Now, here's the thing that I really, really, really love about this poster. As I said, the part that sticks out to me is the Superman silhouette in the middle. But you know what that Superman silhouette looks like and what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the original Christopher Reeve movie where there's a poster where he's actually looking up at the sky like this. And it looks really, really close to this same Superman picture where you see him kind of staring up at the sky, where you see the top of, at the top of the silhouette's head. You see that he's kind of looking up into the sky. That's really reminiscent of the old Dick Donner Superman movies, and some of the marketing that they did for that movie. And that's really what's cool about this to me. I love that they have this sort of nostalgic part going on about it. And the other part about it is one of the things that's going around online, that a rumor is that they're going to have, during some point during the movie, there's going to be the old John Williams score, the Superman score, the dun 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 dun. That they're going to have that in the movie, but it's going to be some kind of small thing. It's going to be like a broken theme or something like that. I am really, really looking forward to hearing that. But again, guys, this poster is like magnificent. I absolutely love it. I've actually changed it to my desktop on my computer. On my dual monitors, I have this poster on my desktop. It's just that cool looking to me. I think they're going to be releasing a lot more posters as they're ramping up this marketing campaign. And this is just a couple of the other ones that came out. And I'm not sure if this poster here is an authentic official poster, but I just love it. It's a really cool looking poster. It looks like it's authentic. I don't think it's a poster that just somebody did. It looks really authentic, but I think it's a cool looking poster too. And also there were some other posters with the individual Justice League characters of Cyborg, Flash, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman. And again, they all look amazing. So if you recall in my last video, I talked about the fact that I think that Warner Brothers and DC needs to go ahead and start ramping up this marketing campaign. And it looks like that they have started to do that. Like they are on track, and then they're, really pushing it into high gear, especially with these new TV spots we've gotten. I think that they're amazing. I mean, I'm really just saying that genuinely. I think that they are amazing. I was literally smiling at all of them. I love, if you haven't seen them, you should look them up. There's quite a few of them. There's one that focuses on Cyborg, one that kind of focuses on Flash, one that focuses on Aquaman, so forth and so on. And then Batman has one called Big Guns or something like that. But they all are amazing to me. I really, really like the way that the movie is shaping up to look like. The thing that stood out to me, though, in these TV spots, a lot of people are developing theories and saying that, we got a lot of new visuals and stuff like that, which is the case. But the thing that stuck out to me is the seemingly amount of levity that we're getting in this movie. We see Bruce Wayne, smiling really, really hard. Batman, smiling. That's like, that's a whole different spin on this whole, DC universe thing. Even before, DC came out, even before we started this whole what's being referred to now as the DCEU, even before that started with Man of Steel, even the Nolan Batmans, you never saw, it was still more of a serious sort of movie. In terms of things, you never really saw a lot of smiling from Bruce Wayne or Batman or anything like that. It was more serious. So to see Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne in here smiling, that's really intriguing to me. I'm like, well, one, what is he smiling at? Who's he talking to? I think it looks like at that point he's still talking to the Flash, where he, first meets him and, tell him to keep up or something like that. But, the fact that he's smiling alone is really intriguing to me. And I'm really intrigued to see what this movie is going to be about. Same thing with Wonder Woman. There's another point in there where she seems like she's, laughing at something, like she's trying to hold her laughing, like one of those kind of things. So you can see that, again, DC and Warner Brothers has gone the route to add some levity in this movie. I think that they've sort of listened to a lot of the complaints and a lot of unnecessary complaints. But at least they're trying to, listen to a lot of the fans of the universe, and a lot of people who are critiquing the movie and trying to incorporate some of those things. But what's really amazing about it is that it still seems to have this sort of serious tone about it. It still doesn't seem like it's going to be like this really, just fun popcorn flick type of movie. It seems like it's still going to have sort of like a deep storyline, an intriguing storyline, kind of like Batman versus Superman did. That plot of that movie and the storyline of that movie was a really, really serious plot, relatively speaking, anyway, as compared to a lot of the other comic book movies that we get, like a Marvel movie. The plots aren't really that serious. It's pretty cookie cutter. It's one size fits all kind of thing. And I'm not even saying that that's bad. I'm just saying that contrasted to DC, Marvel has that thing to where it's all of the characters in what was it, Captain America: Civil War, and then Avengers 1 and 2. It was more of a fun popcorn flick. They had really cool relationships together. They dealt with a few issues that were coming, and then it was like this big threat to Earth, big threat that they had to deal with, and they all came together and deal with it. Pretty cookie cutter, right? With Batman versus Superman, that was a little different. That storyline went a lot of different ways. It wasn't just this high stakes thing. We didn't really get the high stakes part of it until the end of the movie, where Doomsday showed up. But the majority of, and that was well into the third act of the movie. The majority of the movie was, again, Superman and Clark dealing with, Earth and the way that people are treating him, and Batman, seeing him as this threat and all of this kind of stuff. So it was a really serious, somewhat convoluted storyline, and convoluted in sort of a good way. But again, I'm saying that in contrast to what we see from this marketing with Justice League. So again, this one still seems to have that those elements of a more serious movie as compared to like a Marvel movie, but it also still seems to have a lot of levity in it, where it at points it doesn't take itself too seriously, or at least we have breaks from that seriousness, that it's not really hitting you over the head. A lot of people felt that way with Batman versus Superman, and to be honest, if the one very small sort of minuscule complaint that I did have about Batman versus Superman was related to that it seemed to be a really serious movie that really wasn't a problem for it to be serious, but it was serious most of the time. And I think that, a lot of people came out was like, whew, like, man. And I remember when I came from the theater that night and I did my review of Batman versus Superman, which you can find here on my channel. But I did my review of Batman versus Superman when I, got back home from seeing the movie that night. I kind of felt that same way. I kind of felt like, partially because, one, we had waited so long to see the movie, and, a lot of turmoil had gone into the movie and all of that kind of stuff, and it finally got there. So it was like this, finally this, exhale from seeing it. That was part of it. But the other part of it was that, the movie was, it just kind of hits you. Like, I can't even really describe it. It hits you in a sort of this emotional way, but not an emotional way like it makes you want to cry or makes you want to, feel really sad or anything like that. It just hits you with this like, whew, man, that's like really deep. You hit me with some really, really deep stuff for like 2.5 hours. You know what I mean? So, and again, that to me, it was not a big deal. That's my one small, minuscule thing about Batman versus Superman. But again, in contrast to what seems to be happening with Justice League, it doesn't seem to be that way. It seems like it's going to be a serious movie with carefully blended moments of levity and lightheartedness and smiles and stuff blended, and jokes, blended in there, that gives us this sort of break from that storyline. Plus, the other thing that they're saying about the movie is that it's shorter. So this movie is clocking in only at 2 hours. And a lot of people are asking whether or not that's going to be a problem, or whether or not there is a problem. And people are taking it further than that, guys. I mean, there's some really ignorant, dumb people online doing some dumb stuff. People are sending death threats to, people at Warner Brothers and DC because their movie is shorter than, some of their prior movies. Does that make any sense in anybody's mind? So if you're one of those people who do that kind of stuff, just stop. Don't be an idiot. Please don't be an idiot. But anyway, the movie clocking in at 2 hours, I think that this is going to be what that means for this movie. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a good or a bad thing. I think that if you can tell a story, if it takes you only 2 hours to tell a story, then why add an extra 30 minutes just for the sake of, saying we're going to add 30 minutes just to make it, fit some kind of frame that all other movies, the other comic book movies fit. No, if you can fit the movie in 2 hours, do it in 2 hours. And we're not talking about that big of a difference. We're only talking about maybe like a 20-minute, difference between the movies, and admittedly, a lot can happen in 20 minutes. I mean, you could really develop an entire plot and character in 20 minutes. So admittedly, a lot can happen in 20 minutes. But in terms of this movie, I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think it's going to be like this really huge thing where, we're going to miss 20 minutes of it. So I think it's going to be okay. I think the movie's just going to go a little bit faster paced, which I kind of appreciate. Like, we haven't got a really fast paced, sort of upbeat, up tempo, beat by beat Marvel movie. I'm sorry, DC movie in this whole universe yet. Man of Steel was kind of a slow cook. Great movie, by the way, but it was kind of a slow cook. But it worked out perfectly for Man of Steel. Same thing with Batman versus Superman. It was a really, really slow bake. It was like, like we didn't really get to any of the fighting, the huge fight scenes like between Batman and Superman until like well into the movie. Same thing with the fight at Doomsday. So it was a long time to build up to this climax of the movie. But it seems with this movie, things are just going to move. Things are going to take place, which I really like. I think that's one strategy that Marvel took with the first Avengers, where that movie was kind of, although it was still longer than what Justice League is going to be, it had this feeling of upbeat tempo and pace to it. It's like one thing after the next. Like as soon as one thing was up, like you had a moment here that kind of slowed it down, and then it was like right back on it like that. So I think that that's one of the things that Avengers had going for it. And if DC is doing that with this movie, I think that that's going to be a really, really good thing. All right, so last thing I want to talk about is a theory that I have about this marketing. I really do think that we're going to, and you guys let me know what you think about this. I don't know why. I'm not basing this off anything that I've been told or anything. I just have sort of this feeling about it. But I really think that they're going to give us a hint of Superman in either a TV spot or a trailer before this movie hits. Now, I know that's saying a lot. I know that, we're only 3 weeks away. At this point, we may not even get another trailer. Right now, it's looking like we won't. Just be a bunch of TV spots or something like that. So I don't know. But I really do think that they're going to show us something with Superman in this movie. I think, and here's one of the reasons I think that. I think kind of they have to. There's still a divide between, people like us who know comic book movies, who know the history, who read comic books, who are deep into that sort of world of comics and comic book movies and things like that, and know the characters' histories rather. And there's a divide between us and the general movie-going audience. There's still a divide, although that divide has been closing and getting closer together over the years, sure. But there's still sort of this divide. And the general movie-going audience, who again still represents the larger part of people who go to see movies, people like us, the comic book nerds, we're a small percentage, a minority in that. The general movie-going audience, I still think, is wondering, well, this is Justice League. Where is Superman? Right now, up until right now, as I'm making this video, there has been no sort of posters, no marketing. Superman has been completely 100% left out of all of the marketing. And I think that may have may have people a little thrown off. You know what I mean? I think as far as the general movie going audience, again, not people like you and I who are comic book nerds, people like that. Put yourself in the mind and in the sort of being of a person who just doesn't know this kind of stuff. And, they're thinking about this movie in terms of Justice League. What they're relating to in their mind is When I saw Justice League, or when I watched Super Friends, or stuff like that, the cartoon on TV, or when I've seen some of the animated movies, Superman was in the forefront of Justice League. I thought he was the leader of the Justice League, or either he or Batman. So why is Superman not in this picture? We haven't seen any marketing. So, given that, I do think that we're going to get somewhere really close to the movie. I think we're going to get a hint. I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to directly show Superman necessarily. They may. I think we may get something like a really quick scene. If I had to imagine it, this is what I imagine, that it'll probably be something like a really, really quick scene where it'll be sort of ambiguous. We'll see like something flying through the air, um, like really quick, and it'll be a like a really quick camera cut, like a 0.5 second camera cut, where it's just like whoosh, we see something fly through, and we see some of the colors. We may see a black suit or something like that. We may see the classic suit, but we'll see something like flying through the air. It'll probably be something like that, where it'll be like, oh, is that Superman? And then it'll have the whole online community talking about it. Have all talking about, was that Superman? Um, and I think that'll get the general movie going audience. I think that'll be enough to get everybody to say, the people who are not like us, the general movie going audience. I think that'll be enough to get them to say, oh, there's Superman. Oh, Superman is going to be in this movie. Um, because again, I don't even think a lot of the general movie going audience. Well, a lot of them did, but there's still a great number of people out there who didn't see Batman versus Superman, just because of a lot of the negative comments that a lot of people were saying about it. A lot of people still hadn't seen it, and those that did see it may not even remember. There could be a smaller percentage of them that even remember that Superman is dead, or that he died or got killed in Batman versus Superman. So again, given that, I think that it would be smart for Warner Brothers to do that, just to give us a small hint of Superman. And I do think that they're going to do that. The way that they're ramping up this campaign now, this marketing campaign, seems like they're in high gear. I mean, all of these TV spots, the posters, and we're still 3 weeks out. So you can guarantee that there'll be some more marketing and some more posters, some more TV spots and things like that. I think they'll be smart to give us just a small, really, really, really small hint of Superman. But you guys let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about this theory. Are we going to get some kind of Superman in this, in a trailer, in some posters, or a bigger hint than the silhouette in that poster that we showed earlier? Do you think we're going to get a bigger hint than that? What do you think about the TV spots overall? What do you think about, the whole embargo thing? Do you think it's a big deal? Do you think it's, Warner Brothers is trying to hide something from us? Let me know what you think about this in the comment section. And again, guys, I'm so looking forward to this movie. I can't wait. Again, we're only 3 weeks away. I'm counting my calendar. I've already purchased my tickets. Tickets came out yesterday. As of the day I'm making this video, tickets came out yesterday. I was literally one of the first people online to buy my ticket. Got some really good seats in the theater, so I am really, really good to go. Can't wait to see the movie. But again, you guys jump down in the comment section and let me know what you think. And of course, if you're watching this video and you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you go do that. We're approaching Justice League, and this channel is about Superman and all things Superman, everything dealing with Superman. So we're going to be talking more and more and more about him very objectively, like we always do. So again, if you have not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that. Also, jump down in the comments. Let's talk about everything that's going on with this movie, and I'll see you guys in the next video.